what is some piece of advice or pieces of advice that you give to early creators when they're first trying to get their start or when they're trying to figure out what they want to do? Like, what are some of those, like your real top level pieces of advice you give to early creators when they want to get started?
Yeah, I think the first thing is that when someone is looking to hire someone who's new to their craft, they just mostly want a proof that they can do it, that the proof that they know how to use the tools, either the applications or
Mm,
whatever it is that they're executing on. Let's say you're a musician, they want to know that you know how to play your instrument or record yourself well. I mean, there are a lot of you know, there are a lot of players like on Fiverr and stuff who will
hmm.
sub in on your drums and that
Right.
kind of thing. But people just want to know that you can do the thing. And they want to also know this other thing is that you have taste, like you have some semblance of a little bit of the history of the thing you're doing and a little bit of knowledge about what's happening, in terms of the trends overall. And just those two things, having pretty good taste in being qualified and using the baseline, whatever software it is, or whatever the instrument is, or whatever your tools are, those two things alone will get you what you need
Mm,
in like right out of school. So a lot of times when I'm looking at portfolios, I don't have some expectation, that visual designers will have it all figured out when they're just starting out. But
hmm.
like sometimes you'll meet kids who have really great taste and they know
Mm,
they're just very forward thinkers. And then sometimes you'll have like the crafts person who just really understands Photoshop,
right.
really understands how to draw, really whatever.
Yeah.
And it's still kind of, you need to always sort of marry these skills. And the other thing is that like people are busy. So like they don't reply to you and they
Right.
don't get back to you. And like I'm busy and I was like 10 minutes late for this interview that I really wanted to be at
Hmm.
because like I have a kid that I had to hand over. Right. So there's like people just don't reply to emails. They might forget about you. They might forget that they met you. And none of that's really like personal.
Mm,
Like there's it's really, you talked about sending 100 cold emails. If you need a job tomorrow, then I would recommend doing that. You're going to hear back from like 5% of those people, and maybe
at
1% of them
best.
might have an
Yeah.
opportunity from
Right. Yeah.
and no one's going to be mean to you. I mean, it's very unlikely that someone would like berate you over email that they didn't like your portfolio. Like if they did that, they have something wrong with them. And there's
Right.
definitely a reason why you don't want to work there. But I think the fear of reaching out like stops a lot of folks, and definitely don't put all your eggs in like I applied for one job today, that kind of thing. Like it's just a job application is like a wishing well. The other thing is that like just who getting to know people, being
Mm,
nice, being courteous, being easy to work with. Those things get you really, really far. Taking good feedback, taking notes, whatever thing that I tell a young designer, they should really just be ready to just kind of be a sponge. The other thing is that like you shouldn't have an expectation that you need to be famous on the internet. Like you just
mm,
don't need to have a huge following. That's like, it's fine if you want that, if that's like the way that you want to live your job. But there are certainly plenty of people making good creative work, interesting work, and good money, that who don't have like a large online presence, and they don't need to. And the pressure of that, like the pressure to put your work on the internet, I think that's really strange, and I don't think it should exist. I don't feel pressure to put my work on the internet. I
mm.
mean, I do, but like it's not really, even for me, like people who are coming to find me, like it's a lot of word of mouth. About half of it's word of mouth. The other half is like people I reached out to or made contact with and have either worked with in the past, or they like my portfolio and they want to move forward. So I do get DMs like, "Hey, will you design me a logo?" or "How much for a logo?" That's all. Those
Mhm.
those words, and like that's just not a great means of business development.
Right.
Hoping for DMs, and then yeah, I think those are, just stick to it. Over time, if you do anything for 8 hours a day for 40 hours a week, you get better at it. And so like you'll suck for a little bit, but like you'll just keep leveling up and eventually become good at it. I mean, it's just every single job in the world would be like that. You'll just continue to get better over time.
Mm. Man, that's good.
Yeah, that's a lot of advice. That's what I would tell young people.
No, that's great. I love that idea of, taste and craft, like having to be in sync with one another. Cause I definitely feel like for me, in certain times I've been more on one side or the other and it never really works out. And so having both of those qualities, but then also just the stick to itiveness, like you had mentioned, just like being willing to be resilient, because yeah, like you said, people are busy and you're probably gonna get told no a lot. But it's the very, very few, that 1% that says yes. that can really change everything for you.
Look, I haven't been fired from any freelance jobs except for one. And it was a local brand around here. It was a new brand and barely existed when they hired me. And then I got fired off it. And now I see it everywhere. So like I see it all the time. I see it on signs. I get ads for it. Like
Wow.
I see it distributed places that I'll be. And I'm old enough now that I have those kinds of stories where like the thing that I either didn't do a great job of or a thing I made a mistake, like it just, it can kind of haunt me a little bit later or I see, and it's just, we have to be able to like laugh at those things. It's
Mm,
hilarious that like, and just everyone has stories like that, people
right.
miss out on jobs or people misspell something that ends up somewhere. And I think it's okay to like, just, I mean, the expectation you can avoid failure or avoid something that might sting is just like impossible.
For
Like
sure.
that,
Man,
that's what I got.
no, that's so good. It's good to hear it too, though. Like, I'm sure they're normalizing like some of that, like those stories of failing or whatever, of things going wrong. Like, that's also just a really healthy thing. So I'm sorry that you're getting targeted ads from that brand, though. That does kind of suck.
Honestly, it's hilarious.
Okay, cool.